The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as 8-year-old Layla sat cross-legged on the cold marble floor of the 42nd floor office building, her worn sneakers barely holding together. Her mother, Samira, moved quietly between the executive desks, emptying trash bins and wiping down surfaces with practiced efficiency. It was nearly midnight, and this was their third building of the night. Layla's stomach growled softly, but she knew better than to complain. Her homework lay spread before her on a clipboard, math problems swimming before her tired eyes. The silence was broken by the sharp ring of an expensive phone on the mahogany desk nearby. Samira was in the adjacent conference room, her cleaning cart wheels squeaking as she worked. The phone rang again, insistent and demanding. Layla looked toward her mother, who was too far away to hear it over the vacuum cleaner's hum. Ring, ring, ring. Without thinking, Layla scrambled to her feet and reached for the phone. She had seen her mother answer phones before when clients needed something urgently. Her small hand grasped the receiver. Marhaban, she said in perfect Arabic, the language her grandmother had taught her before she passed away last year. How may I help you? The voice on the other end was frantic, speaking rapidly in Arabic about contracts and deadlines. Layla's eyes widened as she recognized the urgency. The caller was explaining that Mr. Al-Hadi needed to review the Dubai merger documents immediately, or they would lose a $755 million deal to their competitors by morning. Please hold one moment, Layla said professionally, her young voice carrying the wisdom of someone far older. She quickly scanned the desk, her sharp eyes spotting a folder marked, Confidential Al-Hadi Enterprises. Inside were documents with signatures and official seals. Sir, I can see the documents you need are here on Mr. Al-Hadi's desk, she continued in flawless Arabic. The contracts show the approval signatures from the Dubai partners. The deadline is not until 6 a.m. Dubai time, which gives you 4 more hours. The bank routing numbers you need are on page 12 of the blue folder. The caller's voice changed from panic to amazement. Who is this? You speak Arabic like a native, but you sound very young. I am Layla, she replied simply. I am here helping my mama clean the office. She works very hard to take care of me. Layla, you have just saved the most important business deal of my career. What is your family name? Before Layla could answer, Samira appeared in the doorway, her eyes wide with horror. She rushed over and gently took the phone from her daughter's hands. I am so sorry, sir, Samira said in broken English, her accent thick with embarrassment. My daughter, she not mean to. Wait, the caller switched to English. Are you Layla's mother? Your daughter just saved my company millions of dollars. She understood complex business documents and spoke Arabic better than my own translators. Samira's cleaning uniform was wrinkled from hours of work, her hijab slightly askew. Her hands trembled as she held the phone. She good girl. She learned Arabic from her grandmama. We sorry to bother you, sir. Bothering me? This child is extraordinary. I need to know more about your family. What is your full name? Samira Hassan, she whispered, afraid she was in trouble. We just clean offices, sir. We no want problems. Mrs. Hassan, there are no problems. Only gratitude. Your daughter has incredible intelligence and language skills. Where do you live? I want to thank you both properly. Samira hesitated, clutching Layla's small hand. Their one-bedroom apartment in the low-income housing complex was nothing to be proud of. We live in Riverside Gardens, apartment 4B. But sir, we no need. I will find you, the caller said kindly. My name is Omar Al-Mansuri and I work for Kareem Al-Hadi. He will want to meet the remarkable young lady who saved our company tonight. After hanging up, Samira knelt down to face her daughter. Layla, Habibti, why you answer that phone? Mama, the man sounded scared. Grandmama always said to help people when they are scared. Did I do something wrong? Samira's eyes filled with tears as she pulled her daughter close. No, my heart. You did something very good. But we must be careful. Rich people, they sometimes. Sometimes what, Mama? Sometimes they make promises they do not keep, Samira finished sadly, thinking of Layla's father who had walked out on them when times got hard. Come, we must finish cleaning so we can go home. As they gathered their supplies, neither Samira nor Layla noticed the security camera that had recorded everything. 50 miles away in his penthouse office, Kareem Al-Hadi was reviewing the footage with amazement. Omar had called him immediately after speaking with Layla, and now Kareem was seeing the child's remarkable performance for himself. Kareem rewound the video, watching as the small girl handled the crisis with more composure than most of his executives. Her Arabic was flawless, her understanding of business concepts startling for someone so young. But what struck him most was the moment when she mentioned her mother working hard to take care of her. The love and respect in her voice was unmistakable. "Find out everything about this family," he instructed his assistant. "I want to know their story, their struggles, everything. And I want it by morning." As the sun rose over the city, Samira and Layla finally returned to their small apartment. The building was run down with peeling paint and broken mailboxes. Their apartment had one bedroom which Layla used, while Samira slept on the pull-out couch. The refrigerator was nearly empty, and the electricity bill notice was still taped to their door. Layla helped her mother prepare a simple breakfast of tea and day-old bread from the discount bakery. As they sat together at their small table, Samira looked at her daughter with wonder. "Tell me again what the man on the phone was saying," she asked. Layla explained in detail about the business merger, the time zones, and the documents she had identified. Her mother listened in amazement, realizing that her daughter's intelligence was far beyond what their circumstances could nurture. "Mama, will that man really come to thank us?" Samira touched her daughter's cheek gently. "I do not know, Habibti. Rich people live in a different world than us. But you did the right thing helping him." Neither of them knew that across the city, Kareem al-Hadi was already planning to change their lives forever. The investigation into their background had revealed a story that broke his heart. A brilliant child and devoted mother living in poverty, abandoned by a father who couldn't handle responsibility, struggling to survive while maintaining dignity and hope. As Kareem read the report, one detail stood out above all others. Despite their hardships, neighbors described Samira as the woman who always helped others, who shared her own meager meals with elderly residents, who tutored other children in Arabic even though she worked 3 jobs. And Layla was known throughout the building as the polite, intelligent girl who helped carry groceries and read to the seniors who couldn't see well anymore. "Remarkable," Kareem murmured to himself. "They have nothing, yet they give everything." He made a decision that would transform 3 lives forever. This would not be a simple thank you gift or a small reward. This would be the beginning of something beautiful, a chance to prove that kindness and generosity could create the most unlikely family bonds. The morning sun streamed through the windows of his office as Kareem began making plans that would soon turn a cleaning lady and her daughter into the most important people in his world. Dear viewers, isn't it amazing how one small act of kindness can change everything? What do you think Kareem is planning for Samira and Layla? Have you ever had a moment where helping someone led to unexpected consequences? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Kareem al-Hadi stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse office, the city sprawling beneath him like a circuit board of lights and possibilities. At 38, he had built an empire in technology and investments, but success had come at a personal cost. His days were filled with board meetings and billion-dollar decisions, his nights empty and silent in a mansion that echoed with loneliness. The manila folder on his desk contained everything his investigators had discovered about Samira and Layla Hassan. As he read, his heart grew heavier with each page. Samira worked 3 jobs to support her daughter, cleaning offices from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., washing dishes at a restaurant from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., and doing laundry for elderly neighbors on weekends. Despite this exhausting schedule, she had never missed a parent-teacher conference or failed to help Layla with her homework. Layla's school records were extraordinary. Despite changing schools twice due to housing instability, she maintained perfect grades and was reading at a high school level. Her teachers noted her exceptional ability in languages and mathematics, but also mentioned that she sometimes fell asleep in class and came to school without lunch. The most heartbreaking section detailed their housing history. They had been evicted twice in the past 3 years, always managing to find another small apartment just before becoming homeless. Samira had sold her grandmother's jewelry, her wedding ring, and even her winter coat to keep them housed and fed. The investigator had included a note. Mrs. Hassan's former husband, Rashid Hassan, abandoned the family when Layla was 2 years old. He claimed he couldn't handle the financial pressure of raising a child. Neighbors report that Samira never spoke poorly of him to Layla, always telling her that Papa had to go work far away. Last known address for Rashid Hassan was Chicago, working construction. Kareem set down the folder and rubbed his temples. He had grown up with every advantage: private schools, tutors, summer homes, and a trust fund that meant he never worried about money. Yet here was a child with more natural intelligence and grace than most of his Ivy League-educated employees, living in circumstances that would break many adults. His phone buzzed with a text from his assistant. The Hassan family's rent is 3 months overdue. Eviction notice was served yesterday. They have until Friday to pay $2,400 or face removal. Friday was 2 days away. Kareem made a decision. Cancel all my meetings today. I'm going to Riverside Gardens. His driver looked confused when Kareem gave him the address. Riverside Gardens was in a part of the city where his limousine would draw unwanted attention. Instead, Kareem chose to drive himself in a modest sedan, wearing jeans and a simple button-down shirt instead of his usual designer suits. The apartment complex was worse than the photos in the report. Paint peeled from the buildings like diseased skin, and the playground equipment was broken and rusty. Children played in the courtyard, their laughter a bright spot in the dreary surroundings. Kareem watched as several kids ran up to a young girl with curly black hair who was sitting on the steps, reading a thick book. "Layla, will you help me with my homework?" asked a boy who couldn't have been more than 6. "Of course, Tommy. What are you working on?" Layla closed her own book and focused entirely on the younger child. Kareem's chest tightened as he recognized the girl from the security footage. Even in daylight, her intelligence was obvious in the way she explained concepts to the younger children, breaking down complex ideas into simple terms they could understand. A woman approached the group carrying grocery bags that looked heavy. Without being asked, Layla jumped up to help her. "Thank you. Thank you, sweet child," the woman said in accented English. "Your mama raised you right." "Is my mama home, Mrs. Rodriguez?" Layla asked politely. "She's sleeping, Mija. She got home from work just 1 hour ago. You let her rest." Kareem watched this interaction with growing admiration. Despite their own struggles, this child was helping others, showing respect to her elders, and protecting her mother's much-needed sleep. As the afternoon wore on, Kareem observed Layla tutoring 3 different children in various subjects, helping an elderly man carry his groceries up 2 flights of stairs, and reading aloud to a group of younger kids who gathered around her like she was their favorite teacher. When evening approached, Samira emerged from their apartment building. Even from a distance, Kareem could see the exhaustion in her shoulders, the way she moved like someone carrying invisible weights. But the moment she saw Layla, her entire face transformed with love and pride. "How was your day, Habibti?" Samira asked, pulling her daughter close. "Good, Mama. I helped Mrs. Rodriguez with her groceries and Tommy with his math, and I read 3 chapters to the little ones. Oh, and I finished my homework for tomorrow." "You are my treasure," Samira said, kissing the top of Layla's head. "Come, we must go to the restaurant. Mr. Chin said I can bring you tonight since Mrs. Kim is sick and cannot watch you." Kareem followed at a distance as mother and daughter walked 6 blocks to a small Chinese restaurant. Through the window, he watched Samira tie on an apron and begin washing mountains of dishes while Layla sat at a corner table, helping other workers' children with their homework and keeping them entertained with stories. The restaurant owner, Mr. Chin, brought Layla a plate of food and patted her head affectionately. Clearly, this family was loved wherever they went, despite their circumstances. As the night progressed, Kareem saw Samira's second job for what it truly was: backbreaking labor that left her hands red and swollen, her back aching as she moved between the industrial dishwasher and endless stacks of plates. But she never complained, never slowed down, and always kept one eye on her daughter. At 11 p.m., they left the restaurant together, Layla carrying a small bag of leftover food that Mr. Chen had packed for them. They walked home through streets that weren't entirely safe, Samira's arm protectively around her daughter's shoulders. Kareem's heart broke as he realized they were about to begin their 3rd job of the day, the office cleaning that wouldn't end until 6 a.m. This woman was working nearly 20 hours a day just to survive, and her 8-year-old daughter was living this exhausting schedule right alongside her. As their bus pulled away toward the office district, Kareem sat in his car and made a series of phone calls. "I need you to pay the rent for apartment 4B at Riverside Gardens," he told his accountant. "All back rent in 3 months forward. Do it anonymously, make it look like a church donation or something." "Sir, that's unusual." "Just do it. And I need you to find the best private schools in the city. I want admission information for a gifted 8-year-old. Money is no object." His next call was to his lawyer. "I need to understand the legal process for helping a family in need. What are my options if I want to provide housing, education, and support without it looking suspicious or creating legal complications?" By the time Kareem returned to his penthouse, he had the beginnings of a plan. But first he needed to meet them properly to earn their trust and understand their dreams. He had learned enough about Samira's character to know she wouldn't accept charity, but she might accept gratitude. The next morning, Kareem's assistant delivered a small gift basket to the Hassan apartment, nothing too expensive, just fresh fruits, bread, and a note. "Thank you for raising such a remarkable daughter. A grateful friend." But Kareem's real plan was much bigger than a gift basket. He was going to change their lives whether they were ready for it or not. He had seen enough to know that Layla's potential was being wasted in their current circumstances, and Samira's sacrifices deserved recognition and reward. As he fell asleep in his king-sized bed that night, Kareem couldn't stop thinking about the image of mother and daughter walking home together, tired but united, facing whatever came next as a team. For the first time in years, he felt like he had found something worth fighting for, not a business deal or investment opportunity, but the chance to be part of something real and meaningful. Tomorrow he would introduce himself properly and begin the most important project of his life, proving that kindness could create family bonds stronger than blood. The knock on apartment 4 came at 3 p.m. on Thursday afternoon, just as Layla was settling down with her homework at the small kitchen table. Samira had managed only 4 hours of sleep before her shift at the restaurant, and she was moving slowly as she prepared their simple lunch of rice and canned vegetables. Who could that be? Samira wondered aloud, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Unexpected visitors usually meant bad news: landlords, bill collectors, or social workers. Through the peephole, she saw a tall man in jeans and a button-down shirt, holding a small bouquet of flowers. He didn't look official or threatening, but Samira had learned to be cautious. "Yes," she called through the door. "Mrs. Hassan, my name is Kareem Al-Hadi. I believe you spoke with my business partner Omar on Tuesday night. I wanted to thank you and your daughter personally." Layla's head popped up from her homework. "Mama, that's the man whose deal I helped save." Samira's heart raced. She looked down at her worn house dress and felt embarrassed, but slowly opened the door with the chain still attached. Through the gap she could see kind eyes and a genuine smile. "Mrs. Hassan, I know this is unexpected, but would you allow me to come in for just a few minutes? I promise I mean no harm to you or your daughter." Something in his voice made Samira trust him. She unlatched the chain and opened the door fully. Kareem stepped inside and immediately understood why the investigator's report had moved him so deeply. The apartment was tiny but immaculately clean. Every surface sparkled, and though the furniture was old and mismatched, it was arranged with care. Children's artwork covered the refrigerator, and books were stacked neatly on makeshift shelves made from boards and bricks. "Please sit," Samira gestured to the small couch, suddenly self-conscious about their humble home. "Layla, come meet Mr. Al-Hadi." Layla approached with perfect manners, extending her small hand for a proper handshake. "It is very nice to meet you, sir. I hope your business deal worked out well." Kareem was struck by her poise and intelligence. At 8 years old, she spoke with the confidence of someone much older, yet there was still childlike curiosity sparkling in her dark eyes. "It worked out perfectly thanks to you," Kareem replied, kneeling down to be at her eye level. "You saved my company $755 million with your quick thinking and language skills. That deserves proper recognition." He handed the flowers to Samira and pulled out a small gift bag. "These are for you, Layla. Some books I thought you might enjoy." Layla's eyes widened as she opened the bag. Inside were 3 hardcover books in both English and Arabic, including a collection of Rumi poetry and a young adult novel about a girl who becomes a translator. "These are beautiful," Layla whispered, running her fingers over the covers. "Thank you so much." "Mr. Al-Hadi," Samira began hesitantly, "this is very kind, but we cannot." "Please," Kareem interrupted gently. "Your daughter provided a service that was worth millions to my company. This is not charity, it's a business thank you." Samira studied his face carefully. She had become expert at reading people's intentions, and she saw only sincerity in this man's expression. "Would you like some tea?" she offered, falling back on the hospitality her mother had taught her. "That would be lovely." As Samira prepared tea in their tiny kitchen, Kareem observed how Layla immediately began reading one of the new books, her lips moving silently as she worked through the Arabic text. Her comprehension was remarkable. "Layla, where did you learn Arabic so well?" Kareem asked. "My grandmother taught me before she died. She said it was important to know the language of our ancestors. She also taught me about poetry and history and mathematics. She was very smart." "I can see where you get your intelligence," Kareem replied. "What is your favorite subject in school?" "I like all subjects, but I love languages most. I can speak Arabic, English, and a little Spanish from helping our neighbors. I want to learn French and Mandarin too." Samira returned with 3 mismatched cups of tea, apologizing for not having a proper set. Kareem accepted his cup graciously, taking a sip and complimenting the perfect blend of spices. "Mrs. Hassan, may I ask about your background? Your daughter's language abilities are extraordinary." Samira sat beside Layla, unconsciously protective. "I came here from Lebanon when I was 20. I married young, had Layla, but..." She trailed off, unwilling to speak badly of her ex-husband in front of their daughter. Papa had to go work far away, Layla supplied matter-of-factly. Mama takes good care of me by herself. I can see that, Kareem said softly. Layla, you mentioned helping neighbors and other children. Tell me about that. Layla's face lit up as she described her daily routine of tutoring younger kids, reading to the elderly residents, and helping with various tasks around the complex. Samira watched proudly as her daughter recounted her acts of service with genuine joy. She has always been helpful, Samira added. Even when she was very small, she wanted to take care of everyone. Kareem felt his admiration for this family growing with each passing minute. Despite their struggles, they had maintained their dignity, their kindness, and their hope. Layla was being raised with values that money couldn't buy. I have a proposition, Kareem said carefully. My company is always looking for talented translators and consultants. Mrs. Hassan, would you consider doing some part-time translation work for us? We have many documents in Arabic that need attention, and we could use someone with your cultural understanding. Samira looked surprised. But sir, I am just a cleaning lady. I do not have business experience. You have something more valuable: authenticity and wisdom. We would start with simple projects and I would personally ensure you receive proper training. The pay would be significantly better than your current jobs. Layla looked up from her book with excitement. Mama, you could use your Arabic skills like grandmama always wanted. Samira's eyes filled with tears. This is very generous, but I must ask, why are you doing this? Rich men do not usually help poor families without wanting something in return. Kareem appreciated her directness. You're right to be cautious. But sometimes people help others simply because it's right. Your daughter saved my business deal, but more than that, watching both of you has reminded me of something important, that the most valuable things in life aren't measured in money. He paused, choosing his words carefully. I lost my parents when I was young. I built my business success, but I never built a real family. Being around you and Layla reminds me what I've been missing. Samira studied his face intently. Years of hardship had taught her to recognize truth, and she saw it in his eyes. Slowly she nodded. We would be grateful for the work opportunity, she said formally. Wonderful. There's just one condition: you'll need to start immediately, which means leaving your other jobs. Are you prepared for that leap of faith? Samira hesitated, torn between hope and caution. It was Layla who made the decision for her. Mama, remember what grandmama used to say? When Allah sends help, don't refuse it out of pride. Samira smiled at her wise daughter, then looked at Kareem with determination. We accept your offer with gratitude. As Kareem left their apartment that evening, he felt lighter than he had in years. The first step of his plan was complete. Tomorrow, Samira would start her new position at his company, and Layla would begin receiving the opportunities her brilliant mind deserved. But more importantly, he had taken the first step toward building the family he had never thought possible, not through blood or marriage, but through kindness, respect, and genuine care. The sun was setting over Riverside Gardens as Kareem walked to his car, already planning the next phase of their journey together. Samira's hands trembled slightly as she stood before the gleaming glass tower that housed Al Hadi Enterprises. At 42 floors high, it dominated the downtown skyline like a monument to success. She wore her best dress, a simple navy blue outfit she had bought secondhand for job interviews years ago, and carried a small purse that contained her identification, a notebook, and a photograph of Layla for luck. You can do this, Habibti, she whispered to herself, using the same encouraging words she always said to her daughter. The lobby was magnificent, with marble floors that reflected the morning light streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Security guards in crisp uniforms smiled and directed her to the express elevator that would take her to the 35th floor. When the elevator doors opened, she found herself in a sophisticated office space with modern furniture, abstract artwork, and the quiet hum of productivity. A young woman with a friendly smile approached her immediately. You must be Mrs. Hassan, she said warmly. I'm Jennifer, Mr. Al-Hadi's assistant. He's waiting for you in his office. Kareem's office was larger than Samira's entire apartment, but he had made an effort to make it welcoming. Fresh flowers sat on a side table, and he had arranged chairs around a small conference table rather than sitting behind his imposing desk. Good morning, Mrs. Hassan. How are you feeling about your first day? Nervous but grateful, Samira replied honestly. I do not want to disappoint you. That's impossible, Kareem assured her. Your intelligence and work ethic are exactly what we need. Let me show you what we have in mind. He led her to a smaller office down the hall that had been specially prepared for her. It had a window with a view of the city, a new computer, and shelves lined with Arabic literature and dictionaries. On the desk was a nameplate that read, Samira Hassan, Cultural Consultant and Translator. "This is my office?" Samira asked in disbelief. "Your office," Kareem confirmed. "We have contracts from Dubai, Morocco, and Lebanon that need your expertise. But we'll start slowly. Today, I want you to review these documents and give me your thoughts on cultural accuracy." The work was challenging but engaging. Samira found herself absorbed in translating business proposals, noting cultural nuances that could make or break international relationships. Her years of struggle had given her insights that no textbook could teach. During her lunch break, Kareem stopped by her office. "How is it going?" "It is wonderful," Samira said, her eyes bright with enthusiasm. "This document from the Moroccan partners, they are being very formal because they are not sure of your company's intentions. If you respond with specific references to their local customs and mention your respect for their tradition of family business, they will be much more comfortable." Kareem was impressed by her intuitive understanding of cultural diplomacy. "That's exactly the kind of insight we need. You have a gift for this work." As the afternoon progressed, Samira's confidence grew. When 3 p.m. arrived, she looked at her watch with concern. "Mr. Al-Hadi, I must leave to collect Layla from school." "Actually, I have a surprise for you," Kareem said with a smile. "Follow me." He led her to a comfortable lounge area where Layla sat reading one of her new books, a plate of cookies and a glass of milk beside her. "Mama?" Layla jumped up and hugged her mother. "Mr. Al-Hadi sent a car to pick me up from school. The driver was very nice and he showed me all the buttons that make the windows go up and down." Samira looked at Kareem with surprise and gratitude. "You arranged this? I thought it would be easier for you to focus on work if you knew Layla was safe and comfortable. She can do her homework here, and we have tutors available if she needs help with anything." "I already finished my homework," Layla announced proudly. "And I helped the receptionist organize her files because they were all mixed up. She taught me how to use the copy machine too." A well-dressed woman approached them, extending her hand to Samira. "Mrs. Hassan, I'm Dr. Patricia Williams, the educational consultant Mr. Al-Hadi asked me to meet with you about." Samira shook her hand, confused. "Educational consultant? I specialize in gifted children," Dr. Williams explained. "Mr. Al-Hadi wanted me to evaluate Layla's academic needs and recommend the best educational opportunities for someone with her exceptional abilities." For the next hour, Dr. Williams conducted an informal assessment with Layla, asking her to solve problems, translate passages, and discuss various topics. The results were remarkable. "Mrs. Hassan," Dr. Williams said privately, "your daughter is testing at a high school level in most subjects, and her language abilities are truly extraordinary. She needs advanced academic challenges and specialized programs that can nurture her gifts. But we cannot afford private schools or special programs," Samira said quietly. "That's where I come in," Kareem interjected. "Consider it an educational scholarship. Layla saved my company millions of dollars. Investing in her future is the least I can do." Samira was overwhelmed. "Mr. Al-Hadi, this is too much. First the job, now educational opportunities for Layla." "It's not too much," Kareem said firmly. "It's what should happen when someone helps others. Good deeds should be rewarded, not ignored." As they discussed educational options, Layla wandered over to the window and looked out at the city below. Kareem joined her, following her gaze. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "I was thinking how different everything looks from up here," Layla replied thoughtfully. "From our apartment we can only see other buildings just like ours. But from here you can see everything: the parks, the river, all the places people can go." "And where would you like to go, Layla?" "Everywhere," she said with the enthusiasm of childhood. "I want to learn about different countries and languages and cultures. I want to help people understand each other better, like Mama is doing with the business papers." Kareem felt his heart swell with affection for this remarkable child. "I think you'll do amazing things, Layla. And I hope I can help you achieve your dreams." As the day ended, Kareem offered to have his driver take them home, but Samira politely declined. She wanted to process everything that had happened during their familiar bus ride home. "Mama, do you like your new job?" Layla asked as they settled into their seats. "I love it, Habibti. For the first time in years I feel like I am using my mind instead of just my hands. Mr. Al-Hadi treats me with respect, like my opinions matter." "They do matter, Mama. You're the smartest person I know." That evening, as they shared a simple dinner of rice and vegetables, Samira felt something she hadn't experienced in years: hope for the future. The steady paycheck from her new job would mean they could afford better food, warmer clothes for winter, and maybe even some small luxuries like books or art supplies for Layla. But more than the financial security, Samira was grateful for the dignity Kareem had shown her. He hadn't offered charity or handouts. Instead, he had recognized her skills and given her meaningful work. It was the difference between pity and respect, and Samira treasured that distinction. "What did Dr. Williams tell you about school?" Samira asked as Layla worked on her evening reading. "She said I could start taking some high school classes if I wanted to. Math and science and languages. She thinks I could learn French really fast because I already know Arabic and English." Samira marveled at her daughter's casual acceptance of these opportunities. To Layla, learning new things was as natural as breathing. She had never let their circumstances limit her dreams. "Would you like that? Taking harder classes?" "Yes, Mama. But only if it makes you proud." "Everything you do makes me proud," Samira said, pulling her daughter close. "You are my greatest treasure." As they prepared for bed, Samira reflected on the strange turn their lives had taken. 3 days ago, they had been facing eviction and wondering where their next meal would come from. Now, they had steady income, educational opportunities, and most importantly, hope. She whispered a prayer of gratitude as she fell asleep on the pull-out couch, not knowing that across the city, Kareem was also lying awake, planning the next steps in what was becoming the most important project of his life. 2 weeks into Samira's new position, she had proven herself invaluable to Al Hadi Enterprises. Her translations were not only accurate but culturally nuanced, helping the company avoid several potential misunderstandings with international partners. Kareem found himself looking forward to their daily conversations about the projects, impressed by her insights and growing confidence. Layla had also settled into a routine at the office. After school, she would complete her homework in the company library, then help various employees with small tasks. The staff had fallen in love with the polite, intelligent child who could explain complex concepts in multiple languages and always offered to help others. It was on a rainy Thursday afternoon that Kareem made his next life-changing decision. He had been walking past the library when he overheard Layla on the phone with their apartment building manager. "Please, Mr. Johnson," Layla was saying in her mature, careful voice. "The roof is leaking again and it dripped on my books last night. Mama works very hard to pay the rent on time. Could you please fix it soon?" Kareem paused outside the door, listening to the 8-year-old child advocating for basic living conditions with more diplomacy than most adults could manage. "I understand you have many repairs to make," Layla continued. "But the leak is getting bigger and Mama is worried about mold. She has been coughing more at night." That evening, Kareem made an unexpected visit to Riverside Gardens. What he saw confirmed his worst fears. The building was deteriorating rapidly, with broken windows covered by cardboard, steps that were unsafe, and a pervasive smell of dampness and decay. When he knocked on apartment 4B, Samira answered wearing a sweater despite the warm weather. Behind her, he could see buckets positioned around the living room to catch drips from the ceiling. "Mr. Al Hadi, what brings you here?" Samira asked, surprised but pleased to see him. "I was in the neighborhood and wanted to check on you both," he said, though they all knew this wasn't the kind of neighborhood he would normally visit. Layla appeared from behind her mother, carrying a towel to mop up water from a new leak. "The roof is being difficult tonight," she explained matter-of-factly. "But I moved my books to the kitchen table where it's dry." Kareem surveyed the apartment with growing concern. The walls showed signs of water damage, the windows were drafty, and the heating system was clearly inadequate. This was no place for a brilliant child to grow up, no matter how well her mother tried to maintain their dignity. "Mrs. Hassan, may I speak with you privately for a moment?" They stepped into the tiny kitchen while Layla continued her homework at the table, now surrounded by strategic bucket placement. "This building is not safe for you and Layla," Kareem said directly. "The structural problems, the mold, the security issues, you both deserve better." "We manage," Samira replied defensively. "It is what we can afford. What if I told you I had a solution? Something that would benefit both your family and my peace of mind?" Samira looked skeptical. "What kind of solution?" "I have a guest house on my property that sits empty. It's fully furnished, completely separate from the main house, with its own entrance and privacy. You and Layla could live there, and in exchange, you could help me with evening translation work and some light household management." Samira's eyes widened. "Mr. Al Hadi, that is very generous, but we cannot accept such charity." "It's not charity," Kareem insisted. "It's a practical business arrangement. I often receive urgent documents that need translation outside of business hours. Having you nearby would be incredibly valuable." Plus, the guest house needs someone living in it for security purposes. Before Samira could object further, a new leak opened directly above the kitchen table, sending water cascading onto Layla's homework. "Oh no!" Layla cried out, trying to save her papers. Kareem quickly helped her move her books while Samira scrambled for more containers. As they worked together to contain the damage, Kareem made his decision for them. "Pack your essentials tonight," he said firmly. "I'm not leaving you in these conditions for another day. We'll figure out the details later." "But sir," Samira began. "Mama," Layla interrupted quietly, "remember what Grandmama said about accepting help when Allah sends it?" Samira looked at her daughter's earnest face, then at the water dripping steadily around their small apartment. Finally she nodded. "We accept your offer with gratitude." 2 hours later, Kareem's driver was loading their few possessions into the car while Samira said goodbye to neighbors who had become like family. Mrs. Rodriguez cried as she hugged Layla, making her promise to visit often. The drive to Kareem's estate took them through increasingly affluent neighborhoods until they reached an area where houses sat on acres of manicured land behind iron gates. Kareem's property was stunning but not ostentatious, a sprawling modern home surrounded by gardens, with a separate smaller house visible through the trees. "This is the guest house," Kareem explained as they pulled up to a charming 2-story cottage with its own driveway and garden area. It has 2 bedrooms, a full kitchen, a living room, and a study. The main house is a quarter-mile away, so you'll have complete privacy. Layla's eyes were wide as they entered the guest house. The living room was decorated in warm earth tones with comfortable furniture and bookshelves that lined an entire wall. The kitchen was fully equipped with modern appliances, and upstairs were 2 bedrooms, each with its own bathroom. "Mama, look," Layla called from the larger bedroom. "There's a window seat where I can read and bookshelves built right into the wall." The smaller bedroom was clearly meant for Samira, with a queen-sized bed, a dresser, and large windows overlooking the garden. After years of sleeping on a pull-out couch, the prospect of her own bedroom brought tears to her eyes. "The study downstairs has a computer and all the reference materials you might need for translation work," Kareem explained. "The kitchen is stocked with groceries, and there's a washing machine and dryer in the utility room." Samira walked through the house in amazement. It was larger and more luxurious than anywhere she had ever lived, yet it felt warm and welcoming rather than intimidating. "Mr. Al-Hadi, this is too much," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "It's exactly what you both deserve," he replied. "Layla, would you like to see something special?" He led them to the back garden, where a small greenhouse sat among flowering plants and fruit trees. "I thought you might enjoy having a space to grow herbs and vegetables," he told Samira. "And Layla, there's a tire swing on that oak tree and a path through the woods that leads to a small pond." Layla ran to explore while Samira stood with Kareem, watching her daughter's joy with wonder. "Why are you doing all this for us?" she asked softly. Kareem was quiet for a moment, watching Layla discover the tire swing. "Because you remind me that the best things in life come from the heart, not the wallet. You've given me something I didn't even know I was missing." "What is that?" "Purpose," he said simply. "The chance to use my resources for something that truly matters." As the sun set over their new home, Samira helped Layla unpack her few belongings in her new bedroom. The little girl carefully arranged her books on the built-in shelves and placed her grandmother's photograph on the nightstand. "Mama, is this real?" Layla asked as she changed into her pajamas. "It feels like a dream, doesn't it?" Samira replied, tucking her daughter into the comfortable bed. "The good kind of dream," Layla agreed sleepily. "The kind where everything turns out better than you ever imagined." That night, for the first time in years, both Samira and Layla slept peacefully in warm, dry, safe bedrooms, while across the garden, Kareem lay awake planning the next steps in their journey together, feeling more content than he had ever thought possible. Living in the guest house transformed their daily routine in ways both practical and profound. Samira no longer had to wake up at 5 a.m. to catch multiple buses to work. Instead, she could prepare breakfast for Layla in their spacious kitchen, walk her to the school bus stop at the end of the long driveway, and arrive at the office refreshed and ready to tackle complex translation projects. Layla thrived in their new environment. She had claimed the tire swing as her favorite thinking spot, often doing her homework while gently swaying beneath the old oak tree. The pond had become her retreat when she needed quiet time, and she had already memorized the names of every plant in the garden. 3 weeks after their move, Kareem established a new routine of joining them for dinner twice a week. What started as a business check-in had evolved into something much more meaningful. "Tell me about your day, Layla," Kareem said as they shared a meal that Samira had prepared using fresh herbs from the greenhouse. Well, I started taking the advanced mathematics class Dr. Williams recommended, Layla reported, cutting her chicken with careful precision. The teacher said I could skip ahead to algebra if I want to, but I told her I'd rather master everything completely before moving forward. That's very wise, Kareem replied, impressed by her mature approach to learning. And how are your new language classes going? The French is coming easily because of the Arabic foundation, just like Dr. Williams predicted. But I'm struggling a little with Mandarin. The tonal aspects are tricky. Would it be okay if I found a tutor? Of course. I'll arrange for the best Mandarin instructor in the city. Samira watched this exchange with growing amazement. 6 months ago, advanced language tutors would have been an impossible dream. Now, Kareem offered them as casually as suggesting a trip to the library. What about you, Mrs. Hassan? Kareem asked, turning his attention to her. How are you finding the new cultural consulting projects? They are fascinating, Samira replied, her eyes lighting up with enthusiasm. Today I helped prevent a major misunderstanding between our company and the Moroccan partners. They were offended because our initial proposal didn't acknowledge their family's 3-generation history in textiles. I suggested adding a paragraph honoring their legacy, and suddenly they became very cooperative. Your cultural intelligence is remarkable, Kareem said sincerely. You see nuances that our other consultants miss completely. After dinner, they established another tradition. Layla would read aloud from one of her books while Kareem and Samira listened. Tonight, she had chosen a collection of Rumi poetry, her voice giving the ancient words new life. Listen to this one, Mama, Layla said, finding a particular poem. It reminds me of our story. She read, Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray. Beautiful choice, Kareem murmured. Why does it remind you of your story? Because Mama always told me to follow what felt right in my heart, even when things were hard. And when I answered your phone that night, something inside me said it was important to help. I think maybe we were all being drawn toward each other. Samira felt tears prick her eyes at her daughter's wisdom. You are very insightful, Habibti. I learned from the best teacher, Layla replied, reaching over to squeeze her mother's hand. As the evening progressed, Kareem found himself reluctant to return to his empty mansion. The warmth and laughter in the guest house were addictive, filling spaces in his heart he hadn't known were empty. Mr. Al-Hadi, Layla said as he prepared to leave, would you like to see the garden project I'm working on? She led him to a corner of the greenhouse where she had planted a small herb garden with labels in Arabic, English and French. I'm creating a trilingual botanical reference, she explained proudly. Each plant has its name, uses and cultural significance written in all 3 languages. Mama helped me with the Arabic and I researched the French translations myself. Kareem knelt down to examine her work, marveling at the careful attention to detail. This is university-level research, Layla. Have you considered submitting it to an academic journal for young scholars? Could I really do that? Layla asked, her face bright with excitement. With work like this, absolutely. I'll help you format it properly. As they walked back to the house, Samira touched Kareem's arm gently. You give her so much confidence. She believes she can accomplish anything because you believe in her. Because she can accomplish anything, Kareem replied. Both of you can. You just needed someone to provide the opportunity. The next morning brought an unexpected test of their growing bond. Kareem arrived at the guest house earlier than usual, looking troubled. I need to ask a favor, he said to Samira. I have an emergency business trip to Dubai, a problem with the merger we saved that first night. I'll be gone for 5 days and I was wondering. Of course Layla can stay with me, Samira said immediately. You don't even need to ask. Actually, I was hoping you both might consider coming with me. The company could use your cultural consulting on site, and Layla could see where her Arabic skills first made such a difference. Layla looked up from her breakfast with excitement. We could go to Dubai? Really? If your mother agrees. It would be a working trip, but you'd have opportunities to explore and learn. Samira hesitated, old fears about accepting too much generosity surfacing. But then she looked at her daughter's eager face and made a decision based on love rather than pride. We would be honored to accompany you. That afternoon, as they prepared for their first international trip together, Kareem realized that what had started as gratitude for a child's help had evolved into something much deeper. These 2 remarkable women had become the family he had never thought to dream of, not through marriage or adoption, but through genuine affection and mutual respect. Mama, Layla said as she packed her small suitcase, do you think Mr. Al-Hadi is lonely in that big house by himself? I think he was lonely, Samira replied thoughtfully. but maybe not so much anymore. Good, Layla said with satisfaction. Everyone should have a family to care about them. As evening approached, the three of them sat in the garden discussing their upcoming trip. For the first time in years, Kareem felt the warm contentment that comes from being exactly where you belong, with exactly the right people, planning a future that promised to be filled with love, laughter, and endless possibilities. The trip to Dubai had been transformational for all three of them. Layla had served as an informal cultural ambassador, charming the Emirati businessmen with her perfect Arabic and insightful questions about their traditions. Samira had proven invaluable in the negotiations, catching subtle nuances that prevented several potential misunderstandings. And Kareem had watched with pride as his chosen family handled the international business environment with grace and intelligence. They returned to their peaceful routine at the estate, but their happiness was about to face its first real test. It was a Saturday morning, 3 weeks after their return from Dubai. Layla was in the greenhouse tending to her herb garden while Samira prepared lunch in the kitchen. The tranquil scene was shattered by aggressive knocking at the front door. Samira opened the door to find a man she hadn't seen in over 6 years, Rashid Hassan, Layla's father. He looked older, with graying hair and lines around his eyes, but his expression held the same mixture of charm and desperation she remembered from their final fights about money and responsibility. "Hello, Samira," he said, attempting a smile. "You look well. Prosperous even." "Rashid." Her voice was flat, controlled. "What do you want? Is that any way to greet your husband? The father of your child?" "Ex-husband," Samira corrected firmly. "You forfeited your rights to that title when you walked away from your responsibilities." Rashid's eyes roamed past her, taking in the luxurious guest house, the manicured gardens and the expensive car in the driveway. "Looks like you've done quite well for yourself. Found yourself a rich man, did you?" Before Samira could respond, Layla appeared from around the corner, her hands still dirty from gardening. She stopped short when she saw the stranger at their door. "Layla," Rashid said, his voice softening with what seemed like genuine emotion. "My daughter. You've grown so beautiful." Layla looked at him with intelligent, curious eyes, but no recognition. She had been too young when he left to remember his face. "Mama, who is this man?" she asked politely. The question hit Rashid visibly. His own daughter didn't know him. "Layla, this is..." Samira paused, struggling with how to explain. "This is your father." Layla's expression remained calm, though her posture shifted closer to her mother. "Oh, hello, sir. I thought you were working far away." "I was, sweetheart. But I'm back now and I want to be part of your life again." "Why?" Layla asked with the direct honesty of childhood. Rashid seemed taken aback by the simple question. Because you're my daughter. Because I've missed you." "If you missed me, why didn't you call or write letters?" "Mama always said you were working, but working people usually stay in touch with their families." Samira watched her daughter handle this difficult moment with remarkable composure, asking the questions that cut straight to the heart of the matter. "It's complicated, Layla," Rashid said, looking uncomfortable. "I understand complicated things," Layla replied. "I speak 3 languages and I'm studying advanced mathematics. You can explain it to me." At that moment, Kareem's car pulled into the driveway. He had been at the office catching up on work but had promised to join them for lunch. As he approached the house, he immediately sensed the tension. "Is everything all right?" Kareem asked, positioning himself protectively near Samira and Layla. Rashid's demeanor changed instantly as he sized up this obviously wealthy man. "And you are?" "Kareem al-Hadi, a friend of the family." "And you are?" "Rashid Hassan, Layla's father and Samira's husband." "Ex-husband," Samira corrected again more firmly. "Kareem, this is unexpected." Rashid just appeared. Kareem studied the situation carefully. He could see the fear in Samira's eyes and the confusion in Layla's. "Perhaps we should all sit down and discuss this calmly." They moved to the living room, where the contrast between Rashid's worn clothes and aggressive posture and the comfortable, loving home Samira and Layla had built was stark. "So," Rashid began, his eyes fixed on Kareem, "you're the sugar daddy who's been taking care of my family." "Rashid," Samira snapped. "That is inappropriate and untrue." "Is it? You're living in luxury, your daughter's dressed in expensive clothes, and there's a wealthy man playing house with you. Looks pretty clear to me." Layla spoke up, her young voice cutting through the adult tension. "Mr. Al-Hadi gave Mama a job because I helped his company with an important phone call. Mama works very hard translating documents and helping with cultural consulting. She earns her position through her intelligence and skills. And what about all this?" Rashid gestured around the guest house. You're telling me this is just employee housing? It's a practical arrangement, Kareem said calmly. Mrs. Hassan often works on urgent projects that require evening hours. Having her nearby is beneficial for business. Rashid laughed bitterly. Right. Business. And I suppose you have no personal interest in my wife and daughter? Ex-wife, Samira said for the third time, her patience wearing thin. And yes, Kareem cares about us. Because that's what good people do, they care about others. Well, I'm back now, Rashid announced. I want to be part of Layla's life. I have rights as her father. Rights? Samira stood up, years of suppressed anger finally surfacing. You have no rights. You abandoned us when she was 2 years old. You never sent money, never called, never even sent a birthday card. Where were your rights when I was working 3 jobs to keep us from being homeless? I had problems, Samira. I was young, I was scared. We were all young and scared. Samira shot back. But I didn't run away. I stayed and fought for our daughter every single day. Layla had been listening to this exchange with growing understanding. Finally, she spoke in a quiet, measured voice. Sir, I mean, Father, may I ask you something? Of course, sweetheart. Why are you here now? What changed? Rashid hesitated, and in that hesitation, everyone in the room understood the truth. You heard about our improved circumstances, Kareem said quietly. You think there's money to be gained. That's not, Rashid began. How did you find us? Samira asked suddenly. How did you know where we lived? Rashid's silence was answer enough. You've been watching us, Kareem realized. Investigating our situation. I had every right to check on my daughter's welfare, Rashid said defensively. No, Layla said with surprising firmness. You had the responsibility to check on my welfare 6 years ago. You chose not to take that responsibility. Mama has been my real parent. She's the one who earned the right to make decisions about my life. Samira felt a surge of pride at her daughter's wisdom and strength. Look, Rashid said, his tone becoming more conciliatory as he realized his aggressive approach wasn't working. I know I made mistakes. But I'm here now and I want to make things right. Layla deserves to know her father. And what would that look like? Kareem asked. What exactly are you proposing? Well, obviously Layla should come live with me part of the time. Maybe spend summers in Chicago or alternate weekends. And there should be some financial support arrangement, to help with her expenses. The room fell silent as the implications of his words sank in. You want to take me away from Mama? Layla asked, her voice small for the first time. Not take you away, sweetheart. Just share custody. It's only fair. Layla looked at her mother with fear in her eyes. The thought of being separated from Samira, even temporarily, was terrifying. Over my dead body, Samira said quietly but with steel in her voice. Now Samira, let's be reasonable. No, Kareem interrupted, standing up. Let's be accurate. You abandoned your family. You have no legal standing, no relationship with this child, and no claim on their lives. If you try to pursue this legally, we will fight you with every resource available. Are you threatening me? I'm informing you of the reality, Kareem replied calmly. Layla has lived in a stable, loving environment for 6 years without you. Any court would recognize that removing her from that environment would be harmful to her welfare. Rashid's mask finally slipped, revealing the desperation beneath. Do you have any idea what it's like to hear that your daughter is living in luxury while you're struggling? To know that some stranger is providing for your child better than you ever could? For a moment, sympathy flickered in Samira's eyes. She understood struggling, understood desperation. But then she looked at Layla, who was trembling with fear at the thought of being taken from her mother, and her resolve hardened. The struggle you're experiencing now, Samira said quietly, that's what I lived with every day for 6 years, except I had a child to protect. You chose to run from that responsibility. I chose to face it. That's the difference between us. Layla, Rashid tried one more time, don't you want to get to know your father? Layla looked at him with eyes that seemed far older than her 8 years. I already have a family, she said simply. Mama and Kareem take care of me, love me, and help me grow. They've never left me or made me feel scared. That's what family means to me. But I'm your blood. Blood doesn't make family, Layla interrupted with quiet wisdom. Love makes family. Choice makes family. Being there every day makes family. Rashid stared at his daughter, seeing the intelligent, confident, beloved child she had become without him. The child who spoke multiple languages, who had saved $1 million business deal, who was being raised with values and opportunities he could never provide. Finally, his shoulders sagged in defeat. "I see," he said quietly. "I see what I lost." He stood up slowly, looking around the room one more time at the life his daughter was living, the family she had chosen, the love that surrounded her. "I'm sorry," he said to Layla. "I'm sorry I wasn't the father you deserved." "Thank you for saying that," Layla replied with grace beyond her years. After Rashid left, the three of them sat together in the living room, processing what had just happened. Layla was curled up between Samira and Kareem, feeling safe and protected. "Are you okay, Habibti?" Samira asked, stroking her daughter's hair. "I'm okay, Mama. You seem sad but not scary. Just lost." "You handled that situation with incredible maturity," Kareem told her. "I'm very proud of you." "I learned from watching you and Mama handle difficult things," Layla replied. "You taught me that family is about choice and love, not just biology." As evening fell, the three of them prepared dinner together, their bond stronger than ever after facing this challenge as a united family. They had proven that the love they had chosen was stronger than the blood ties that had failed them. Outside, the garden bloomed in the fading light, a symbol of the beautiful life they had cultivated together through patience, care, and unwavering commitment to each other's happiness and growth. The confrontation with Rashid had an unexpected effect on their family dynamic. Instead of creating distance or doubt, it had crystallized something that had been growing between them for months. The way they had instinctively protected each other, stood together as a unit, and weathered the storm had revealed the depth of their bond. In the weeks that followed, Kareem found himself spending more and more time at the guest house. What started as dinner twice a week became nearly every evening. He would arrive with takeout from different ethnic restaurants, eager to share new flavors with Layla and discuss business challenges with Samira. "Tell me about the Malaysian contract," Samira said one evening as they shared Thai food on the patio. "I read through the preliminary documents you sent, and I think there might be some cultural considerations you haven't addressed." "Such as?" Kareem asked, genuinely interested in her perspective. "The way the proposal is structured puts our company in a dominant position from the beginning. In Malaysian business culture, relationships are built on mutual respect and face saving. If we approach them as equals seeking partnership rather than as a larger company offering them an opportunity, we'll get much better results." Layla looked up from her pad thai, listening intently to the adult conversation. "In my world cultures class, we learned that many Asian business practices are based on relationship building first, profit second." "Is that what you mean, Mama?" "Exactly, Habibti. You understand these concepts so well." "That's brilliant insight," Kareem said to Samira. "You've just saved us from potentially damaging a relationship before it even begins." As they discussed the intricacies of international business, Kareem marveled at how naturally they worked as a team. Samira's cultural intelligence combined with his business experience and resources, while Layla contributed fresh perspectives from her academic studies. After dinner, they had fallen into a routine of walking through the garden together. Tonight, as they strolled among the flowering plants Layla had helped design, Kareem felt a contentment he had never experienced before. "Mr. Kareem," Layla said, using the name she had started calling him, "may I ask you something personal?" "Of course, sweetheart. Were you lonely before you met us?" The question was so direct, so innocently perceptive that Kareem stopped walking. "Yes," he admitted. "I was very lonely, though I didn't always realize it." "I'm glad you're not lonely anymore," Layla said, slipping her small hand into his. "Mama was lonely too, even though she had me. Sometimes I would hear her crying at night when she thought I was asleep." Samira blushed, embarrassed by her daughter's revelation. "Layla. It's okay, Mama. People are supposed to have more than just one person to love them. That's why families are bigger than just two people." They sat down on the garden bench that had become their evening gathering spot. In the growing dusk, with fireflies beginning to dance among the flowers, Kareem found himself studying the two women who had changed his life so completely. "What are you thinking about?" Samira asked softly. "How different my life is now," Kareem replied honestly. 6 months ago, I worked 14-hour days, came home to an empty house, and went to bed wondering what the point of success was if there was no one to share it with. And now?" Layla prompted. "Now I look forward to coming home every day. I have people to care about, people who care about me. I have conversations that matter and laughter that fills the quiet spaces." Samira felt her heart flutter at his words. Over the past months, she had begun to see Kareem not just as a generous benefactor, but as a man of genuine kindness and integrity. She had watched him interact with Layla with patience and affection, never talking down to her but treating her as the intelligent individual she was. She had seen him treat his employees with respect, his business partners with fairness, and their small family with a tenderness that made her believe in love again. "Mr. Kareem," Layla said thoughtfully, "do you think about having a family of your own someday?" Both adults froze at the question. Samira's cheeks burned and Kareem felt his heart race. "I mean," Layla continued innocently, "you would be a wonderful father. You're patient and kind and you always listen to me when I have ideas or questions. And you make Mama smile in a way she never used to smile before." "Layla," Samira whispered, mortified by her daughter's boldness. But Kareem was looking at Samira with an expression she had never seen before, tender, hopeful, and vulnerable. "I have been thinking about family lately," he said quietly. "But not about finding one somewhere else. I've been thinking about the family I've already found." The silence that followed was filled with possibility and unspoken feelings. "I should probably get Layla ready for bed," Samira said, suddenly needing to escape the intensity of the moment. As they walked back toward the house, Layla skipped ahead, leaving her mother and Kareem walking together in comfortable silence. "She's very perceptive," Kareem said finally. "Sometimes too perceptive," Samira replied with a nervous laugh. "I'm sorry if she made you uncomfortable with her questions." "She didn't." Samira stopped walking and looked at him. "Kareem, I know this is complicated," he said gently. "I know you have every reason to be cautious about trusting someone new with your heart and Layla's future. But I need you to know that what's happened between us, this family we've created, it's the most real and precious thing in my life." Before Samira could respond, Layla called out from the porch. "Mama, come look at the stars. They're so bright tonight." The moment passed, but something had shifted between them. As Samira tucked Layla into bed later that evening, her daughter's words from dinner echoed in her mind. "Mama," Layla said as Samira kissed her goodnight, "I think Mr. Kareem loves us." "What makes you say that, Habibti?" "The way he looks at you when you're not watching. And the way he remembers every little thing I tell him. And how he got angry when that man tried to take me away from you. That's how papas act when they love their families." Samira's heart squeezed tight. "Is that what you want, Layla? For Mr. Kareem to be like a papa to you?" "He already is like a papa to me," Layla said simply. "He just doesn't know it yet." That night, Samira lay in her bed staring at the ceiling, her mind racing with possibilities and fears. She had been hurt so deeply by Rashid's abandonment that she had built walls around her heart. But Kareem had quietly, patiently, proven himself to be everything Rashid had failed to be: reliable, generous, present, and genuinely caring. The next morning brought a surprise that would test her newly acknowledged feelings. Kareem appeared at their door earlier than usual, dressed more formally than normal and carrying an envelope. "I have something to discuss with both of you," he said, his expression serious. They sat in the living room while Layla finished her breakfast, sensing that this was an adult conversation that would affect her future. "I've been thinking about our situation," Kareem began carefully. "About the arrangement we have, about Layla's education, about your legal status here." Samira felt a flutter of panic. Was he ending their arrangement? Had they become too comfortable, too presumptuous about their place in his life? "I want to make some things official," he continued. "First, I want to establish an educational trust fund for Layla. It will ensure that she can attend any university she chooses, pursue any dream she has, regardless of what happens in the future." He handed Samira the envelope. Inside were legal documents establishing a substantial trust in Layla's name. "Kareem, this is too much," Samira began. "It's not too much for someone who saved my company and brought meaning to my life," he said firmly. "But there's something else." He paused, seeming to gather his courage. "I want to ask you both something important, and I want you to know that whatever your answer is, nothing about our current arrangement will change. You'll always have a home here, Samira will always have her position with the company, and Layla will always have my support." Both Samira and Layla were listening intently now. "The truth is, you've both become the most important people in my world. Samira, your intelligence, your strength, your grace in the face of hardship, you inspire me every day. And Layla, your curiosity, your kindness, your wisdom, you've taught me what it means to be proud of someone you love." Samira's heart was pounding so hard she was sure they could hear it. "What I'm trying to say is, I love you both. I love the family we've created together. And I would be honored if you would consider making it official." Layla gasped softly, understanding before her mother what was happening. "Samira," Kareem said, his voice trembling slightly, "would you marry me? Would you let me be the father Layla deserves and the partner you deserve? Would you let me love you both for the rest of my life?" The silence stretched for what felt like an eternity. Samira stared at him, tears gathering in her eyes as years of fear and protection warred with hope and love. You want to marry Mama? Layla asked in wonder. If she'll have me, Kareem replied, his eyes never leaving Samira's face. And if you approve. I would never want to come between you and your mother or try to replace what you have together. I would just want to add to it. Layla looked back and forth between the two adults, seeing the love and longing in both their faces. Mama, she said softly, remember what Grandmama used to say? When Allah sends love, don't refuse it out of fear. Samira closed her eyes, feeling her grandmother's wisdom wash over her. When she opened them again, she saw Kareem watching her with patient hope, asking for nothing more than she was ready to give. I love you too, she whispered, the words feeling like a prayer and a celebration all at once. Both of us do. And yes, we would be honored to be your family. The joy that spread across Kareem's face was radiant. He reached for both of them, pulling them into an embrace that felt like coming home after a long, difficult journey. Papa Kareem, Layla said, testing out the title. Can I call you that now? I would love nothing more, he replied, his voice thick with emotion. As they held each other in the morning sunlight streaming through the windows of their home, all three of them felt the profound satisfaction of finding where they truly belonged, not through circumstance or obligation, but through choice, love, and the courage to open their hearts to the impossible possibility of perfect happiness. The days following Kareem's proposal were filled with a joy that seemed to illuminate everything around them. News of their engagement spread through the Al Hadi Enterprises office like sunshine, with employees who had watched their unlikely love story unfold expressing genuine happiness for the family they had all grown to love. Dr. Williams, Layla's educational consultant, was among the first to congratulate them. In all my years of working with gifted children, she told Samira, I've never seen a more perfect family dynamic. Layla is thriving because she's surrounded by adults who value her intelligence and nurture her emotional growth. The wedding planning began immediately, but not in the way most people might expect. Instead of elaborate ceremonies and expensive vendors, their focus was on creating something meaningful that reflected their values and journey together. I want our wedding to be a celebration of family and new beginnings, Samira told Kareem as they sat in the garden one evening, Layla nearby practicing her French with a tutor Kareem had arranged. Something that honors where we've come from and where we're going. What would make it perfect for you? Kareem asked, genuinely interested in her vision. I want Mrs. Rodriguez there, and Mr. Chin from the restaurant, and all the neighbors from Riverside Gardens who became our family when we had nowhere else to turn. I want Dr. Williams and the people from your office who welcomed us. I want it to be about community, not just ceremony. Kareem smiled, falling in love with her all over again. Then that's exactly what we'll have. They decided to hold the wedding in the garden of the estate, creating an intimate outdoor ceremony that would accommodate both the important people from their old life and the new relationships they had built together. Layla threw herself into wedding preparations with the enthusiasm of a child who finally felt secure in her happiness. She had appointed herself the official flower girl and wedding coordinator, taking her responsibilities very seriously. Papa Kareem, she announced one morning over breakfast, I've been thinking about the ceremony. Since you're not just marrying Mama, but becoming my papa too, shouldn't there be something special for that part? What did you have in mind, sweetheart? Well, in my research about different wedding traditions, I learned about family medallion ceremonies, where the new step-parent and child exchange promises too. Could we do something like that? Kareem was deeply moved by her suggestion. I would love that more than anything. What kind of promises would you want to make? I want to promise to be the best daughter I can be, to listen to you and respect you, and to help you and Mama build our family together. And I want you to promise to always be honest with me, to help me learn and grow, and to love Mama and me even when we make mistakes. Samira felt tears prick her eyes as she listened to her daughter's mature and thoughtful approach to their new family structure. Those are beautiful promises, Layla, Kareem said, his voice thick with emotion. I would be honored to make them with you. As the wedding day approached, Kareem made another decision that spoke to his character and values. He announced that he would be establishing the Hassan Al-Hadi Foundation for Educational Opportunity, focused on providing scholarships and support for children from single-parent families. Education changed our lives, he explained to the local newspaper reporter who came to interview them about their unusual love story. Layla's intelligence opened doors for all of us, but there are countless other brilliant children whose potential is being limited by circumstances beyond their control. The reporter was particularly interested in how they had met and fallen in love. It's quite unusual for a billionaire tech executive to marry his cleaning lady, she commented. Samira was never just a cleaning lady, Kareem replied firmly. She's a brilliant cultural consultant, a devoted mother, and the strongest person I've ever met. Her work situation when we met didn't define her worth any more than my bank account defines mine. And what about you, Mrs. Hassan? What's it like to go from struggling to make ends meet to marrying one of the city's most successful businessmen? Samira considered the question carefully. The financial security is wonderful, of course. But what changed our lives wasn't Kareem's money, it was his kindness, his respect for us as people, and his recognition of our potential. He didn't rescue us from poverty, he provided us with opportunities to rescue ourselves. The week before the wedding, they had one final pre-marriage conversation that solidified their commitment to each other. They were sitting in their usual spot in the garden, watching Layla practice her violin, another skill she had eagerly embraced with her new educational opportunities. "Are you nervous?" Samira asked Kareem. "About the wedding?" "No. About being the husband and father you both deserve?" "Every day." "You're already the father Layla deserves," Samira assured him. "She loves you completely, trusts you absolutely, and looks up to you in ways she never did with Rashid, even when she was too young to understand his shortcomings." "And what about being your husband? Are you sure you're ready to trust someone with your heart again?" Samira took his hand, intertwining their fingers. 6 months ago, I would have said I could never trust anyone that completely again. But you've proven yourself in small ways and big ways, day after day. You've shown me that love doesn't have to be desperate or anxious or conditional. It can be steady and secure and peaceful. That's all I want to give you, Kareem said softly. A love that feels like home. The night before their wedding, Layla presented them with a gift she had been working on in secret. It was a photo album documenting their journey together, starting with a picture of the office building where she had first answered Kareem's phone, and ending with recent photos of the three of them in the garden, laughing and happy. On the first page she had written in her careful handwriting, "The story of how we found each other and became a family. Sometimes the best things happen when you're just trying to help someone else." The final entry on the last page read, "Tomorrow Mama and Papa Kareem get married and we become official. But we've been a real family since the first day Papa Kareem came to our old apartment and treated us like we mattered. Love isn't about big gestures or expensive gifts. It's about showing up every day and choosing each other over and over again." As Samira and Kareem read through the album together, they realized that their 8-year-old daughter had captured the essence of their love story with wisdom that surpassed many adults. "She's going to be an amazing writer someday," Kareem said, marveling at Layla's insight and expression. "She's already amazing at everything that matters," Samira replied, watching their daughter through the window as she prepared for bed. "Just like her new papa." That night, as Samira fell asleep in her own bed for the last time as a single mother, she felt a profound gratitude for the journey that had brought them to this point. Tomorrow she would wake up as Kareem's wife and Layla would have the father she had always deserved. Their family would be complete, bound not by necessity or convention, but by choice, love, and the unshakable commitment to support each other's dreams and growth. In his own bedroom across the garden, Kareem lay awake feeling the same gratitude and anticipation. Tomorrow he would officially become the husband and father he had never thought to dream of becoming. But more than that, he would be surrounded by the love and laughter that had transformed his empty mansion into a true home. And in her new bedroom in the guest house that had become their sanctuary, Layla slept peacefully, dreaming of the wedding ceremony where she would officially gain the papa she had already claimed in her heart, and where their chosen family would be celebrated and recognized by everyone who mattered to them. Tomorrow would be the beginning of their forever, but in many ways their real story had begun the night a little girl answered a phone call and saved more than just a business deal. She had saved 3 hearts that had been waiting to find each other. The morning of the wedding dawned bright and clear, with the kind of perfect weather that made everything seem possible. Samira woke early in the guest house, taking a moment to appreciate the sunlight streaming through the windows of what would be her last morning as a single mother. Layla appeared in her doorway, already dressed in her flower girl dress, a beautiful lavender creation that complemented her mother's elegant cream-colored gown. "Mama, are you ready to marry Papa Kareem?" Layla asked, settling beside her mother on the bed. "I've been ready since the day I realized he loved us for who we are, not for who we might become," Samira replied, smoothing her daughter's curls. "I'm ready too," Layla announced. "I practiced my vows for the family medallion ceremony, and I'm not nervous at all. Papa Kareem already feels like my real papa, so today is just making it official for everyone else." The morning flew by in a whirlwind of preparations. Mrs. Rodriguez arrived early to help Samira with her hair and makeup, crying happy tears as she worked. Mija, I knew from the first day that man looked at you and Layla that something special was happening. You deserve all this happiness. Mr. Chin from the restaurant brought traditional Chinese symbols of good fortune for the ceremony, while Dr. Williams arrived with a special gift, a scholarship announcement that would allow 10 children from low-income families to attend the prestigious academy where Layla would begin high school next year. This is your wedding gift to each other and to the community, Dr. Williams explained. Kareem established it, but it was Samira's idea to focus on children who show academic promise but lack resources. As guests began arriving for the afternoon ceremony, Samira was amazed by the mix of people who had come to celebrate with them. Neighbors from Riverside Gardens sat alongside Kareem's business associates. Layla's teachers mingled with international clients who had worked with Samira on translation projects. It was exactly what she had hoped for, a true community celebration. Kareem had spent the morning in his main house, getting ready with Omar Al-Mansouri, the business partner whose frantic phone call had started their entire love story. Are you nervous? Omar asked as he helped Kareem with his tie. Not nervous, Kareem replied. Grateful. 6 months ago, I had everything money could buy and nothing that actually mattered. Today, I'm marrying the woman I love and officially becoming father to the most extraordinary child I've ever known. It's quite a story, Omar mused. A business emergency becomes a love story that changes 3 lives forever. The best stories usually start with someone needing help and someone else choosing to provide it, Kareem said, thinking of how naturally Layla had stepped in to assist a stranger in distress. The ceremony began at 4 p.m. in the garden that had become symbolic of their growing love. Chairs were arranged in concentric circles around a simple altar decorated with flowers from Layla's own herb garden. The setting was intimate and meaningful, reflecting their values rather than their bank account. Layla walked down the aisle first, scattering rose petals and beaming with joy. She took her place at the altar beside the officiant, ready for her special role in the ceremony. When Samira appeared, walking alone with quiet dignity, the assembled guests fell silent in appreciation of her grace and beauty. She wore a simple but elegant dress that reflected her refined taste and the confidence she had gained over the past months. But it was the radiant happiness on her face that took everyone's breath away. Kareem watched her approach with wonder, still amazed that this remarkable woman had chosen to trust him with her heart and her daughter's future. As she reached the altar and took his hands, he felt the same sense of rightness that had guided their entire relationship. The officiant began with words that reflected their unique journey. We gather today to celebrate not just the marriage of Samira and Kareem, but the creation of a family built on choice, respect, and unwavering commitment to each other's happiness and growth. Their vows were personal and deeply meaningful. Samira spoke about finding love when she had thought it was impossible, about trusting again after betrayal, and about the joy of watching Kareem become the father Layla deserved. Kareem's vows focused on gratitude for the phone call that brought them together, for Samira's strength and intelligence, for Layla's wisdom and trust, and for the chance to build something beautiful from unexpected beginnings. Then came the moment everyone had been anticipating, the family medallion ceremony. Layla stepped forward, holding a special necklace that Kareem had designed for her, featuring 3 interlocked circles representing their family bond. Layla, Kareem said, his voice emotional, I promise to love you, guide you, and support your dreams. I promise to be honest with you, to listen to your ideas, and to be the father you deserve. I promise to love your mother with all my heart and to protect our family with everything I have. Papa Kareem, Layla replied with remarkable composure, I promise to be the best daughter I can be. I promise to respect you and Mama, to work hard in school, and to help our family grow stronger every day. I promise to love you even when I make mistakes, and to remember that families are built with patience and kindness. As Kareem placed the necklace around Layla's neck and she hugged him tightly, there wasn't a dry eye among the wedding guests. This was more than a marriage ceremony, it was the official recognition of a love that had already transformed 3 lives. The celebration that followed was joyful and authentic, reflecting the personalities of the new family. Instead of formal speeches, guests shared stories about how Samira, Kareem, and Layla had touched their lives. Mrs. Rodriguez talked about Samira's generosity even in poverty. Dr. Williams spoke about Layla's exceptional character and potential. Business colleagues praised Kareem's integrity and leadership. But the most meaningful moment came when Layla stood up to address the gathering. I want to thank everyone for coming to celebrate with us, she began, her young voice carrying clearly across the garden. 6 months ago, I answered a phone call to help someone I didn't know. Today, that someone is my papa and he and Mama are married. I learned something important from our story. When you help others without expecting anything back, sometimes the universe gives you exactly what you didn't know you needed. She paused, looking at her parents with love and wisdom beyond her years. Mama always taught me that family isn't just about biology. It's about who shows up for you, who believes in you, and who loves you even when things are hard. Papa Kareem showed up for us when we needed someone most, and now we get to show up for each other every day for the rest of our lives. The applause that followed was heartfelt and sustained, acknowledging both the child's remarkable maturity and the beautiful truth of her words. As the evening progressed, the three of them found quiet moments to appreciate what they had created together. They stood at the edge of the garden, watching their guests mingle and celebrate, feeling the profound satisfaction of being exactly where they belonged. "What happens now?" Samira asked, leaning against her new husband's shoulder. "Now we live happily," Kareem replied simply. "We continue to grow our family foundation, we support Layla's education and dreams, we build Al-Hadi Enterprises into something that makes a positive difference in the world, and we love each other through whatever comes next. And I continue studying and helping other kids who need tutoring and maybe write a book about our family someday," Layla added, making them both laugh. "That sounds perfect to me," Samira said, looking around at their celebration, their chosen family of friends and loved ones, their beautiful home, their bright future together. As the last guest departed and they cleaned up the remnants of their perfect day, the three of them sat in their favorite spot in the garden, watching the stars emerge in the darkening sky. "You know what the best part of today was?" Layla asked thoughtfully. "What's that, sweetheart?" Kareem replied. "Seeing how happy Mama looked. I've never seen her smile like that before, like she wasn't worried about anything, like she knew everything was going to be okay." "That's because everything is going to be okay," Samira said, pulling both her husband and daughter close. "We have each other, we have our health, we have opportunities to make a difference in the world, and we have love that gets stronger every day. And," Kareem added with a smile, "we have a foundation to run, a brilliant daughter to support through college and beyond, and a lifetime of adventures ahead of us." As they sat together under the stars, each of them reflected on the incredible journey that had brought them to this moment. A desperate phone call, a child's kindness, a businessman's generosity, and a mother's courage had combined to create something none of them could have imagined, a family bound not by necessity or obligation, but by choice, respect, and unconditional love. 6 months ago, Samira had been a single mother working 3 jobs to survive. Layla had been a brilliant child whose potential was being limited by circumstances beyond her control. Kareem had been a successful but lonely man who had everything money could buy and nothing that truly mattered. Now they were a family in the fullest sense of the word, committed to each other's happiness, growth, and dreams. They had proven that love could bridge any gap, that kindness could transform lives, and that the most beautiful families were often the ones chosen rather than inherited. As they finally went inside to their home, truly their home now, they carried with them the confidence that whatever challenges life might bring, they would face them together, with love, wisdom, and the unshakable knowledge that they had found exactly where they belonged. The lights in the guest house, now the family house, glowed warmly in the darkness, a beacon of hope and happiness that would guide them through all the adventures yet to come. And in the garden where their love had grown, the flowers Layla had planted continued to bloom, a living symbol of the beautiful life they had cultivated together through patience, care, and the courage to open their hearts to impossible possibilities. Their story had begun with a phone call and would continue with a lifetime of love, laughter, and the daily choice to be there for each other, no matter what tomorrow might bring. Dear viewers, what an incredible journey we've witnessed. From a desperate phone call to a beautiful wedding, this family proved that love truly conquers all. What was your favorite moment in their story? Do you believe that helping others without expecting anything in return brings unexpected blessings? Have you ever experienced a small act of kindness that changed your life? Share your thoughts and your own heartwarming stories in the comments below. We'd love to hear how this story touched your heart.